Thank you, Madam Speaker. And you know, I don't think it's ever been said in the House of Commons that this place is lacking for hypocrisy, I think that there's usually enough hypocrisy in this place to go around. But this report, this motion brought to us by the NDP, is just abounding. It's overflowing. It's even too much hypocrisy for this House of Commons that has certainly seen enough of it in our history. But for the NDP to be calling about corporate greed and grocery prices, meanwhile, the leader of the NDP's brother, Mr. Singh, is a lobbyist for Metro. And you know what? I couldn't believe it, actually. The member who rose from the NDP with respect to this motion actually mentioned the fact. He gave away the story. He gave away the story when he said the most profitable large grocery chain in Canada is Metro. This is the firm that the brother of the NDP lobbies for. So no one is making more money. No one is profiting more from a grocery perspective than Metro, the company that the brother of the leader of the NDP, Mr. Singh, lobbies for. This is unbelievable. The hypocrisy, the chutzpah to bring this into this House, to go forward with the fact that that somehow that they don't have any responsibility. Meanwhile, it's actually, as a member from Peterborough-Kawartha just said, this is the longest surviving minority government in Canadian history. NDP government, NDP Liberal government. This NDP Liberal government has continued to prop up this. So we've seen this record profit underneath the NDP Liberal government. This is not a Conservative government in power. We are seeing these record profits from these grocers from the NDP Liberal government. So we have more hypocrisy. But let's back up and explain why this might be happening a little bit here. So the reality is that socialism fails every time it's tried. I'm going to bring, of course, we're all aware of the tremendous failures and the suffering and the millions that died during the Soviet Union. We've seen the suffering in Cuba, in Venezuela. But I want to bring three concrete examples of where socialism has failed. One is the UK after World War II embraced socialism. They went full hog into socialism. They nationalized nearly every major industry. And what happened? Well, you know, initially it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. But then Margaret Thatcher's old adage came into being. Eventually, you run out of other people's money. That's the problem with socialism. And so the United Kingdom actually became known as the sick man of Europe because their economy was so behind, which brought the standard of living down further and further and further until Margaret Thatcher came to office, brought free economics, and brought UK back on the economic roadmap. The second one is an interesting one. Israel. So Israel also embraced socialist policies shortly after World War II. They embraced very socialist, collectivized farming. Some of you might be familiar with the term kibbutzes, and these were socialist farming agricultural places. And initially, it was not bad, and because they were carrying this investment, this money that had come from before, that was initially spending your money eventually, and so you grow debt. But what happened is Israel's economy began to shrink, and shrink badly. And in fact, it wasn't until around 1980 or so that eventually they adopted free market policies, and where they went from one of the lower economic growth countries to actually leading the developed world from 2000 on in economic growth. So once again, we see socialism fail. Third example is the world's biggest democracy is India. India initially, after World War II, also embraced socialist policies, and once again they found it to be an unmitigated disaster, lowering the standard of living. And then they embraced free market economy, and what happened? Lo and behold, the market increase. So the challenge becomes, and this is repeated all over again, this is not new news what's happening in Canada. So we have the government, the Liberal government, take power in 2015. They're coming off a great legacy, the legacy of the Harper government, when housing was affordable, when Canada was a world leader in GDP per capita, when Canada was strong on the map. And then, you know what, time comes by and the debt and the leveraging and socialist policies have their corrosive effect on the economy over and over again, bringing down our economy. And you know, then there's a realization that happens, and I don't know whether it happens for all the members of this, and maybe some of them live in blissful ignorance or just to deny the truth. But the reality is, eventually it comes to effect that they don't work. These policies don't work, and we're seeing that now in Canada, just like we did in the UK, in Israel, and India. Wherever these socialist policies, there's a legacy that always follows, Madam Speaker. One is high unemployment. We're now creeping up to 6.1%. Secondly is a lack of prosperity. Third is an increase in inequality, ironically enough, given all the talk of equality in this House. And fourth is incredibly slow economic growth, which drives down the economy and the economic life. So the challenge then becomes for these folks who are in government. They see that their policies have created nothing but failure. So what do they have to do? They have to create a boogeyman. They have to create they have a straw man argument, and they have to place the blame on something else. They divide, as they did during COVID. They distract, and they will do everything in their possible to not look at their record. And that is what is going on here. And so what we've seen is the NDP, whose leader. The leader's brother is actually a lobbyist for Metro, the large chain with the largest profit margin of all Canadian grocers, is out there blaming big grocery. And I'm not saying they're innocent; they're certainly not. But the hypocrisy of that party to go after grocery chains. Meanwhile, their brother is a lobbyist for Metro, the most profitable large grocery chain in Canada. Is unbelievable. And with that, I'd actually like to bring an amendment to the motion there, Madam Chair. That the motion be amended by deleting all the words after the word that and substituting the following. The 19th report of the Standing Committee on Finance, presented on Monday, May 6, 2024, be not now concurred in, but it be recommitted to the Standing Committee on Finance with instruction that it amend it the same so as to recommend a more efficient alternative to address food insecurity among Canadians this summer by calling on the government to eliminate the carbon tax, the federal fuel tax, and the GST on gasoline and diesel between now and Labor Day.
Mr. Lawrence, seconded by Mr. Perkins, moves the following amendment, that the motion be amended by deleting all the words after the word that and substituting the following. The 19th report of the Standing Committee on Finance, presented on Monday, May 6, 2024, be not now concurred in, but that it be recommitted to the Standing Committee on Finance with instruction that it amend the same so as to recommend a more efficient alternative to address food insecurity among Canadians this summer by calling on the government to eliminate the carbon tax, the federal fuel tax, and GST on gasoline and diesel between now and Labor Day. The amendment is in order